Hey y'all. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you about an article that I found that's really, really important, especially if you are a U.S. citizen and you are in Mexico. First thing I would ask is, why the hell are you in Mexico? And before I sound like a hypocrite, I've been in Mexico. However, that was way before the cartel went as bad as they are now. They have gone buck wild over there, and they're getting progressively worse. And anybody who has come into the police force, new police chief, who thinks they're going to intervene and, you know, get involved with this and put a stop to it, they end up getting death threats. Okay. So, unless your job has sent you over there, and even then, I wouldn't want to go because it's buck wild. People who are ordinary citizens are being told that they're going to get involved with the drug trade. And the cartel's mentality, and they will come out and say it, is um, silver or brass. That's your question, silver or brass. Meaning, do you want to make some money or do you want to get popped? As in no longer living. Ordinary citizens just going to work and going home are getting stopped on the street and told that this is what they're going to do or else. So that was a long time ago when I was there. You wouldn't catch me over there at all in any way, shape, or form nowadays because they've lost their freaking minds over there. So dating apps are tied to the kidnappings of U.S. citizens in Mexico, according to the U.S. Embassy. Why would you be on dating apps in Mexico? You can't even trust people in the United States on dating apps. And you think you could trust them in a foreign country where crime is rampant? Come on. Come on, people. Dating apps have been tied to the kidnappings of some U.S. citizens in Mexico. The U.S. Embassy and Consulate in Mexico warn, according to officials, U.S. citizens visiting Puerto Vallarta, Jalisco, and Nuevo Nayarit have been kidnapped by people they've met on dating apps. The victims and their loved ones have been extorted for large sums of money in exchange for the return of the kidnapping victims. Travelers should use caution when meeting strangers, meet only in public places, and avoid isolated locations such as residences or hotel rooms where crimes are most likely to occur, the U.S. Embassy wrote in its warning. It's also advised citizens to inform relatives or friends of their plans if they plan on meeting someone. Do not do it. That's what I'm telling you. Don't do it. You're begging for problems. Jalisco is considered a level 3 reconsider travel risk, while Nayarit is considered a level 2 exercise increased caution risk due to crime in both cities. Anyone who feels they are in danger can call 911 for help. Don't do it. Period. Don't do it. You cannot trust people in America. What the hell makes you think you could trust someone in a country where crime is running rampant? Okay. Why? Sometimes we have to use our brain, and sometimes we have to know that we're putting ourselves in extreme danger when we do these things that might appear to be exciting, when in reality they're not exciting, they're extremely dangerous. And someone who is wanting to do something bad to you, they're the nicest people in the world. They're so nice. They'll do anything in the world for you, even though you're a total stranger to them. They're just so nice. Don't fall for that. Don't fall for that. You know, you just got to be super careful. I mean, I didn't, thankfully, when I went, I didn't have any problems. But let's see, I was there because I was pursuing acting. And I went to the Acapulco Film Festival to meet with people in the industry, in the acting, in the, entertainment field. And I met a bunch of stars, and I met some of the stars from Young and the Restless, because that used to be my drug of choice back in the day. Man, I was so addicted to that show. I would record it. Oh, excuse me. When I was at work, I'd record it. This is when you know you're ate up. Okay? You are ate up. For real, for real. And at one point, you got to be careful when you stayed over there. My ex and I were still together. We were in the hotel, and we got into a argument, a little bitty argument. And next thing you know, security is outside. This is in Mexico. Security is outside the door, and they don't have little pistols, okay? They just don't. I don't know what kind of weapon it was, but it was big. And they got an evil look on their face, like, you got a problem? No, I do not. I noticed, let's talk about, and I've done this before. I've talked about this years and years ago. When you go to another country, oh, sorry guys. Oh. When you go to another country, excuse me, the longest thing is going to be customs. That's going to take a while. Customs takes forever. I love going on a cruise. That's so much fun. But you have to have this, I forget what it's called. It's almost like orientation. You go and you sit in this room. It's mandatory. You have to do it. And they tell you all about the safety and what happens in case of emergency. And it goes on and on and on. And you're sitting there like thinking, can I start having fun or what? But they have to do all that. Customs in Jamaica was, it takes a long time. And unlike here, a lot of places you go, people will smile at you and say hello in the airport. They don't do that overseas. They don't do that. They don't smile. They look real serious. Sometimes they look really mean. Like they can't wait for you to do something stupid. So you learn pretty fast. When you look at their body language or their facial expressions, you learn pretty fast. You ain't in America. Don't be smiling and saying hi to people, because they don't play that over there. You look at them, they might look at you and say, you got a problem? I mean, they're not playing with you. Which part of, I'm trying to think. I was in Montego Bay. That's where I was. And you hear those words, Montego Bay, and you're thinking, oh, wow, that's going to be absolutely amazing. And it is. However, one thing that I've learned about being in foreign countries is the poverty level is just insane. The poverty level. People are living in shacks over there. My best friend, when I lived in New York, my best friend is from there. And she went back to visit her family at one point. And honey, she packed everything. She packed soap, shampoo, all kinds of things. And I said, are you going back to live? She said, no, these things are very expensive over there. I said, you're kidding me. She said, no. Whoa. Whoa. So yeah, you hear Montego Bay, or the nickname for it is Mo Bay. But it is every country I've gone to is poverty stricken, and it makes you truly, truly, truly appreciate the fact that in your house you could just go to the refrigerator and get something to eat. And you know, that's not everybody's situation over there. When I was in Mexico, I talked to a guy who's a taxi driver. How about, you ready for this one? How about he's a lawyer and a cab driver so that he could pay his bills and make ends meet? In America, if you're a lawyer, you good. Not over there. And an apartment that's real small and real plain is really expensive over there. And I'm like, what the hell? And so I couldn't wrap my brain around that. Wait a minute, he's a lawyer and he has to be a taxi driver? What? I mean, that was just so bizarre to me. So bizarre. What else? Had fun on the cruise. I took a cruise to the Bahamas. Bahamas is awesome. Had a great time there. Had a great time in Jamaica. Traveled to when I was in Jamaica, went to Dun Rivers Falls, and you could look that up online so you can see what it looks like. And that was so much fun. And it was just really nice. And one thing that I noticed, especially for people that are in a serving capacity in foreign countries, they don't have attitude like some Americans do in a serving industry. They're extremely grateful to be working and making money, and their customer service is exceptional. Super friendly, super warm. There was a lady when I was in Jamaica, there was a lady that wanted me to bring her to the United States with me. She wanted to be my maid. She wants out of there. The poverty in these places is unreal. It's just unreal. The amount of shacks that we saw that families are living in, and they're raising their own food because if you don't have a garden and you don't go fishing, you don't eat. And one thing that traveling outside of the country is going to teach you is respect for what you have here. You can eat and you don't have to worry where your next meal is going to come from. And it's just a totally different ball game. You could just go to the store and get your shampoo and get your soap and your toothpaste and everything. You just get it and that's it. Well, that's not the case in Jamaica. It's extremely expensive over there. And it doesn't make any sense because when you look at, and this is typical, right? You look at their leaders and presidents and prime ministers and things of this nature, and it's like, you know, your people are impoverished. What are you going to do about it? Well, they're not going to do anything about it because that doesn't affect them. Did I go there? Yes, I did. They don't care if it's impoverished. They don't really care. All they care about is their position, their money, and their situation. So why are you representing the country when you don't care about it? Well, damn, imagine that. Mm, we're not going to go there. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Going on a cruise is simply amazing. Also, it's a city on the water. It has everything you need. You could literally live on it. And some people do. Some people do live on cruise ships. It's going to cost you a lot, but you could do it. There are some people on YouTube who live on a cruise ship and they tell you how much it costs per month and what it's like. It's not always glamorous like you would think it is. It's just not. I would love to do that. I don't know if I'd want to do it for a year, but at least 6 months. But it's expensive. That's not cheap. Living on a cruise ship is not cheap. Not by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm in love with water, so I'm like, ooh. Yeah, not so much. So I've been to Acapulco and I've been to Montego Bay and I've been to let me see, Jamaica, and it's just excuse me, it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful. People are super nice, super friendly, um, so well mannered. They have the least amount of, personal items, the least amount, but they have rich personalities, if that makes any sense. They're super rich in their personality. And I kept thinking Americans could really take some lessons from these people so far as, manners and how to treat other people, especially in a customer service capacity. Yeah, Americans could learn. But you realize when you look at other countries, you realize how much you don't mean to take it for granted, but you're used to your life being the way it is. But then and the conveniences that you have, and then when you go to other countries, you realize that, oh, whoa, wait, what? You can't make it on a lawyer's salary? Whoa, what? Yeah, yeah, crazy. So, anyway, I hope you guys are well. I do say that if you have the opportunity to travel, stay the hell away from Mexico, okay? Please, please, stay the hell away from Mexico. But if you have the ability to travel to other countries or take a cruise somewhere, oh, honey, you're going to love it. You are absolutely going to love it. It's a treat. It's a real treat. Cruises are great. Here's something weird, okay? I'm going to tell you this and let you guys go. Here's something really weird. I think I'm trying to remember because it was such a long time ago, but the cruise that we went on was, I think it was 5 days and 4 nights or something to that effect, or something similar to that. And we, obviously disembarked off the ship, and then you take your shuttle to the airport, I believe, or something. I can't remember, such a long time ago. And I'm sitting in the airport and we're waiting for our flight to come back. And the best way I could describe it is I felt jiggly. My legs were jiggly. Your body, this may not be the case for everybody, but your body still thinks you're on water, even though you don't feel like you're on water when you're on the ship. You obviously are, and your body remembers that. And my legs were so jittery, and I didn't say anything. And then I was married at the time, and I just mentioned it to him. I said, "Do your legs feel funny?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." It's like your body's used to you being on water and the constant movement. So even when you're not on water and you're on land, you still have that. I don't know what you call it, but some people call it sea legs or something. I don't really know, but it's just crazy. I mean, it goes away eventually, but it's a strange, it's a strange sensation. Your legs are jittery. And I experienced that another time years and years ago when myself and my friend were on his jet ski, and we were out on the water for a long time, and we got lost. And I specifically asked him, this was here in the United States. I asked him, because he took off like a bat out of hell. And I said, "Are you going to remember where we, you know, entered the water at?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah." Not so much, okay? Anyway, long story short, we were on the water for quite some time. We were lost. We were at the Lake of the Ozarks. We were completely lost. And I said, "Well, let me get off at that dock over there so I can go up to those people's house and ask them," which you're playing in the area that rich people play, that a lot of people down there have a lot of money, a lot of money. So they don't really want you there. Let's just keep it real. We're going to keep it raw today. They don't want you behind there. So they can't stop you from being there. So if you're in a crisis, you're pretty much on your own. They really don't want to help you because they feel like this is our playground. You're a little behind, shouldn't be here. And we had been on the water for hours. And by the time I got off the dock and tried to go up these people's stairs, I felt like I don't want to say intoxicated, but my whole body was doing that jittery thing from being on the water for so long. And I could barely walk up the damn stairs. And if you're looking at me from a distance, you probably think, look at that drunk. Look at that damn drunk trying to climb the stairs. I wasn't drunk. My body was used to being on the water. And when I wasn't on the water, I still feel that movement. It's just weird. There's probably a scientific name for it. I just don't know what it is. And no, they don't help you. They don't give you proper directions or anything like that because, like I said, they don't want you there. They do not want you there. I mean, just to give you an example of what some of these people, how much money they make. There's one guy who has an infinity pool, a huge infinity pool. And my friend who works construction, he said that pool is about $200,000 to make, to build. I said, you're kidding. He said, no. So yeah, some of these people got bank coming out their ears and they're like, what are you doing in our playground? Somebody squeaking in the background, so you have to overlook him. Anyway, when you travel, be safe. If you are on a cruise, I'm gonna knock him out. Hey, you're making a lot of noise. All right, you are making a lot of noise. Another thing. Oh, let me warn you about this too. If you are on a cruise, one thing that you don't want to do, and I found this out listening to somebody on YouTube talking about it. One thing that you don't want to do when you're on a cruise is if you're in a cabin, you're going to be in a cabin, and some cabins have a small deck that you could go out and you could, watch the water and drink your coffee and whatever it is you're going to do. Because those cabins are so close together, don't talk about nothing real personal because your neighbors can hear you, especially if you're out on the deck. Some of the mistakes I've seen people do is they pull out wads of money when they're paying for stuff, or they're wearing their expensive Rolex. Just people can look at you and they can look at the type of credit cards you have and they know that you have money. You have to watch what you say. You have to watch yourself. Don't be bringing humongous wads of money out in public on the boat or whatever, or in public period in a foreign country, because that's just asking for it. And watch what you say when you're on a cruise, especially out on the deck on your cabin, because people can hear you. People get intoxicated and they start talking about, their financial situation, or people know that if you have, especially people that are sharks, human sharks, they know by looking at the type of credit cards you have that you have money. You have to be careful. Do not be flashy when you are out and about, because, especially in foreign countries, they think that you are rich. That's how you came over there, which is mucho incorrecto. Okay, I saved money in order to be able to do that. I am not rich. I was doing okay financially back then. I wasn't doing too badly, but I still had to save because bills come first, right? So you got to save for your playtime. But they think you're rich. So if you're flashing, wads of money, I mean, you shouldn't do that, period. Not even in the US. You've got to be careful because you could easily become a target. You got to be careful. Don't brag about anything. Don't be bragging. You just start to get to drinking too much and you start talking too much, and you just got to watch yourself because you can make yourself disappear. Like somebody can make you disappear because you're talking too much and revealing too much. And, I got this kind of job and I make this kind of money. No, watch what you say, watch what you do. They really do think that you're wealthy when you come over there. And that is not everybody's reality, but that's what they think. So it's easy for you to be targeted. There was a guy on a beach, I don't know what country he was in, and I don't remember what he did. They all went out to hang out, and then I don't know if he went to his room or he went for a walk on the beach. He ended up dead. He got killed on the beach. And foreign law enforcement isn't always going to be cooperative. They'll just say, oh, that's just, he got robbed. And that's the extent of the investigation. You got robbed. They're not going to necessarily, a lot of these countries are corrupt, but let's just keep it real. A lot of these countries are corrupt. So law enforcement doesn't really care. You're not even from here. You're from the US. We really don't care. He got robbed. That's the end of the story, period. Crazy. And one more thing before I can let you guys go. Um, be very careful about your own safety. When you are in a foreign country, don't just do whatever you want to do. Like for example, and I've talked about this a long time ago. Um, Myself and a family member were going to go parasailing, but a storm was coming in. Well, guess what? There's thunder and lightning, right? Water conducts electricity. Do you think you need to be parasailing in a thunderstorm? You probably shouldn't. The storm was popping off, and I called to cancel our reservation, and the guy got really mad at me. You got to remember, these people are impoverished. So every opportunity they have to make money, they want to make money. If you die, that's on you. They got paid. I'm not going to sit here and say every country is crass like that. But the countries I've been in, you got to watch your own safety because they really want to make money and they don't really care about much else. So I called to cancel. Dude got mad at me. My driver already left to come pick you up, this, that, the other. Okay, and I understand that, but a storm is coming. But he put fuel in the boat. And he literally argued me. Like, we are supposed to risk getting killed so he can make $1. I don't freaking think so. And when you're a woman too, you're not considered, anything. There's a caste system in a lot of countries, even in the United States, there's a caste system. So if my family member who is a guy, if he would have called and said he's canceled, I don't think there would have been an argument. Maybe there would have been, but I doubt it. But because I'm a female, he's going to argue me to the death, and I'm not sitting here arguing with you for an hour. I said, cancel it. And I hung up the phone. End of story, end of discussion. We are not going to risk getting hit by lightning for you, Tom, Dick, Harry, Sally, or Sue. Not happening. Not going to freaking happen. Another thing in countries you got to be careful about. If you're in another country and they're taking you out in a fishing boat or whatever it is, this, that, professional, you hire someone to take you out. A lot of times, not always, but a lot of times their equipment is faulty. Okay, because they can't necessarily afford to have the best of the best, and they don't necessarily stay on top of it. When I was in, let me think, what country was I in? I was in Jamaica or Bahamas. Oh, I can't remember. Jamaica, that's right. I was in Jamaica, and I was with 3 other people, and we went out on a boat that was a glass bottom boat, and they're going to drop you off at your location and where you're supposed to go snorkeling at. and everything's supposed to be great. Well, it wasn't. There were things going on behind the scenes that I didn't know about. And I found out about it later, and I'm like, what the hell am I hearing right now? So, this was post Hurricane Hugo. I don't know if you guys remember that Hurricane Hugo. So I'm trying to take underwater pictures. You ain't getting underwater pictures of Jack Diddley because you can't even see your hand in front of your face, because even though the sun came out and the weather was great and the hurricane had passed, the water was still extremely tumultuous and extremely uh what would the word, cloudy from sand swirling, because it's trying to calm down from the hurricane. So there's no visibility, which is extremely dangerous. I didn't think about it at the time because I was in adventure mode. I'm determined to get underwater shots. You're not getting underwater shots of squat. You can't even see your hand in front of your face because, like I said, it's post Hugo, Hurricane Hugo. So we went back, and as on our way back, we're kind of seasick, and I don't mean, you know, puking sick. I don't mean that, but your whole body is going, what the hell? Because the water was so rough. Because again, the hurricane. So the waves are aggressive. And you feel like you're being tossed around inside of a washing machine. So on our way back, we just, all of us have our head in our hands, and our heads are low, and we're just like, oh my God, make it stop. So we get to the beach, and there's lounge chairs on the beach, which is really cool. And they wanted to go for drinks or what. And I'm like, okay, I need to just lay here and let the world stop spinning for a while is what I need to do. So that's what we did. And then we went back for drinks, and then, whatever. And we went back to the place where we stayed. Um, and I had a butler maid and a cook, and it was just absolutely wonderful. I got a taste of lifestyles of the rich and famous, and it was amazing. Anyway, and so then we started talking about the situation with the boat. And the father, his wife, says, you didn't know there was a crack in the glass in the boat? What? You didn't know that? No, I didn't. She said, you didn't see him take a rag and dab the glass and then wring it out on the side? No. I was in tunnel vision mode. I'm gonna have exciting fun, and I'm taking underwater pictures, and no one's gonna stop me, and I'm super laser beam focused. And no, that's not gonna happen. Uh, she said, yeah, there's a crack in the glass. So then let's look at this. Look at all the dangers, okay? There's a crack in the glass. The water is extremely aggressive. I'm talking boat is slamming on the waves. Kabam, 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 kabam. And the glass is already cracked. Okay, okay. And then there's no visibility in the water, so if there's sharks, I would not have known until it was too late. Multiple dangers that were potentially fatal. We did have life jackets on, thank goodness, but still, sharks, barracudas, electric eels, all kinds of things in there that in the ocean that you would never see coming because you've got no visibility. My mouth was hanging open. I'm like, wow. They know there's a crack in the glass. They don't care. They're trying to make that money. So that's why I'm telling you, when you're traveling to different countries, you got to be responsible for your own safety. You have to look at the environment, make sure there's not storms coming, make sure the equipment that you're going to be on, or a boat, whatever you're going to be on, is in decent shape. I had no idea, and they're not going to tell you that there's a crack in the glass. Another thing, let me backtrack a little bit. Another thing, when I was in the water, they had told my family members, they said, oh yeah, uh, we brought some people out last week, and a guy drowned. And the father's wife said, she's thinking to herself, why would you say that when we've got family members in the water? And I'm thinking to myself, I wonder, did this person have on a life jacket? What, you know? And nothing's gonna slow their roll. Like if someone dies on an excursion, they're gonna be up and running regardless. They're gonna make that money. They're desperate. They're poor. They're living below the poverty level. They're poor. So they will take all types of chances with their life, with your life, all of that. I'm not, and again, I'm not saying all countries do that, but the ones I was in is they live below the poverty line, and you better take your own responsibility for your safety because they just try to make that dollar. That's all there is to it. So, anyways, you guys take care, much love, and be safe when you travel. Bye.